a car that didn't see her. It was an accident, and she died. But she left a journal behind. And in her journal, Peace Pilgrim, this woman who devoted her life to peace, talked about the Bamemba tribe in South Africa. And I want to share this with you because this could be one way of returning spirit to the place in your home where there's emptiness, where there's hurt, where there's pain, where there's fear, where there's anger, where there's worry. In the Bamemba tribe, Peace Pilgrim says, when a person acts irresponsibly or unjustly, he or she is placed in the center of the village, alone and unfettered. All the work ceases. The entire village gathers around the accused individual. Then each person of every age begins to talk out loud to the accused. One at a time, each person tells all of the good things the one in the center ever did in his or her lifetime. Every incident, every experience that can be recalled with any detail and accuracy is recounted. All positive attributes, good deeds, strengths, and acts of kindness are recited carefully and at length. No one is permitted to fabricate, to exaggerate, or to be facetious about the accomplishments or the positive aspects of the accused person. The tribal ceremony often lasts several days, not ceasing until everyone is drained of every positive comment that can be mustered. At the end, the tribal circle is broken, a joyous celebration takes place, and the person is symbolically welcomed back into the tribe. Necessity for such ceremonies is rare. Now, I'd like to think about that in terms of what I learned since the family meeting that I called a decade or so ago. If I were to do it over, I would place this beautiful child in the center of that circle, and I would have everyone talk about the wonderful things about her, about however, wherever we go, she just always thinks about the downtrodden. Dad, can we just take some donuts out to these workers, these migrant workers? They never get to have just some. Can't we just go over there? Come on, Dad, let's just take them some donuts. Can't we just do something nice for this person? I would tell them about the time that she went over on Mother's Day and bought a little trinket for her mom and wrote a little poem next to it. I would talk about how she made us laugh all the time when she was a baby, and with that little tongue of hers and the little words that she made up and that funny little way that she walked and her own sense of independence. And we would go on and on and on with this. And if we can teach those who are troubled, those who cause us pain, those who use language that we don't approve of, those who dress in ways, those who do things to their bodies that we don't think they should do, if we can just immerse them in a culture of acceptance and love, even if they're behaving in ways that seem so anathema to you, if you can just find a way to continue to do that, eventually that spirit has to raise, and your consciousness expands in every direction. And 4, you find yourself in a new and a great and a wonderful world. Your world changes. The world that you used to live in before you were in spirit is no longer there. When you're touched deeply by living in spirit, by awakening with the morning breeze, by catching every thought that you have that is not one of God realization, by finding yourself saying over and over and over again, it is my intention to be in this state of God realization. It is my intention to be there. I'm going to live in spirit. When you do, the world changes. Things that you didn't notice before suddenly come alive. I'm going to tell you a story that just blew me away. I think it perhaps was the signature story of my life in terms of connecting to spirit. I've never experienced anything like this before. I finished writing Inspiration, Your Ultimate Calling, on the 23rd of April. And I knew that the book was going to have 18 chapters in it, because 18 is that magical number, one infinite source. One infinite source. I put that number on my dashboard of my car. I have it on the mirror. It's a reminder. One infinite source, 18. It's the number of chapters in the Bhagavad Gita, the number of holes on a golf course. It's got to have something holy to it. And so I had 17 chapters written, and I was thrilled to have that completed, but I still had one chapter to go, but I was holding that off until my birthday on the 10th of May. And I knew what that last chapter was going to be, my experience of living an inspired life, just telling it on my birthday, right around 3:13 or so in the morning. So I was essentially done. And I went for a walk that day, and when I finished that chapter, that 17th chapter, I told a story in there about my friend Jack Boland. He passed away about 12 years ago. Jack was a Unity minister in Detroit. A man who, when I wrote Your Erroneous Zones 3 decades ago, called me up and asked me if he could put together some tapes on it, and would I give him permission. And he had started a Unity church over on the east side of Detroit, and asked me if he could use that. I said, absolutely. And over the years, I began to speak at his church and his congregation, and come to Detroit a lot, my home, and we became very close. We became like brothers. And he got very sick, and he had cancer throughout his back and so on. And I went with him to my friend Deepak Chopra's place, the Ayurveda Center out in Massachusetts. During the day, we would go out, and then in the evening, he would come in, and Jack always had to have a story. He had to tell a story. And he started talking to me about these wonderful little creatures called monarch butterflies, and how much he loved them. And the reason that he loved them, he said, Wayne, these are the most amazing little things in the world. I mean, they've got a brain the size of a pinprick. Just no brain, essentially, and they're made out of tissue paper, like toilet paper. They're just flimsy little things, and they come out, and they come out of a chrysalis on a branch in a tree in Brazil. Now they don't have a brain, and they're made out of toilet paper, essentially, and they fly to Nova Scotia, 4,385 miles away, and they spend some time there doing whatever you do in Nova Scotia if you're a monarch butterfly. And then they turn around, these pinprick brain toilet paper insects, and they fly all the way back to Brazil. But not only do they go back to Brazil, they go back to the same tree. Not only do they go back to the same tree, they go back to the same branch. And they start the whole process all over again with another cocoon. I mean, it's like, I've got a brain that's supposed to be pretty good size. I leave my cell phone in the bedroom. I did this just the other day, and I walk out of the bedroom, I can't find my cell phone. I have to call the number on another phone, and I'm listening to this funny little sound and looking under pillows. I know it's over. I had to call twice. So I didn't want to get charged for the first call. Anyway. And these things can find the same branch that they came out of a cocoon on. So anyway, he would tell me about the miracle of these things. All right. So I wrote that whole story. The 17th chapter is about the language of spirit, how spirit speaks to us in ways that we're not even aware of. It speaks in terms of alignments. When things align, when the same numbers appear, the same ideas keep showing up, when these kinds of alignments show up. So I called my editor, Joanna, who's here tonight, who's edited everything I've done for the last 30 years or so. and only person in the world who can read my handwriting. I read her the story of Jack and the monarch butterfly, and I called my friend, the president of Hay House, who's my publisher, who's also here tonight, Reed Tracy, my best friends in the world. And I read both of them the story. All right? And then, because I always do that when I finish a chapter, I read it to just see what it sounds like. Took off on my walk. It's 12:30 in the afternoon. I'm going for a walk along Kaanapali Beach. And I walk, and I walk, and I get out to this place called Black Rock, out on West Maui. And I'm walking there, and I'm at peace, and I'm going to meditate, and I got my cell phone with me, I found it, and a monarch butterfly flies right out of the tree, and I don't think I've ever seen monarchs there before, right? A monarch butterfly flies out of the tree and circles and lands right there, 3 feet in front of me. So I think, well, a little bit of a coincidence, but that's because I just read the whole story, and I reach over to pick up this butterfly, and it looks at me like I'm a butterfly. I don't deal with humans. My DNA is programmed to stay away from you, and it flies away, and it goes out about 40 yards, and it makes a U-turn, and it comes back, and it lands on my finger, right here.